Welcome back to House Rich, the first time homebuyer show where we help millennials figure out where do I get started in real estate and how to build generational wealth. Happy Indigenous People Day or Christopher Wallace Day, whichever one you choose to rock with, hopefully both. Today's topic was going to be, and kind of still is, loan programs for the Native American population. But it actually turned into an interesting bit of information I found out about the difficulty with the indigenous population actually being able to get mortgages in the first place. So let's get into it. So we all know the indigenous population had their land stolen from them, right? We all know that. I know they're not teaching all the history in certain states, talking about you, Florida, and other places down south, but hopefully that is public knowledge. The native population had their land stolen from them. And so it was given back to them in certain areas, sorta, right? So what happened was, I'm going to read straight from this article in urban.org, but basically the General Allotment Act of 1987, or the Dawes Act, allows the federal government to hold some land in Indian country in trust for specific tribes or individual Native Americans. The tribal trust land benefits Native communities in many ways, including tax exemption and assurances that the land remains available for tribe members, right? So the land was stolen. Folks, tried to kind of do the right thing and give some of the land back to the tribes, but they put some of the land into trust. And so the issue with the trust is the people on the land don't actually own the land. The land is owned by the United States government. So the issue becomes when folks are trying to get mortgages on their land, lenders are like, so this land you're trying to buy from this other person that is on the land, they don't actually own it. And if you buy it, you won't actually own it either. The United States government will own it. So we give out mortgages, and the collateral with the mortgage is the land and the home, but you'll own neither. So what are you going to do about this collateral issue? I know, just not going to give you a loan. So that's essentially what happened. And so there was a big struggle for the native population to actually get mortgages, because lenders were like, I don't know what to do here. We're going to err on the side of protecting us, and no home loan for you. And so in 1992, Congress established what's called Section 184 program, and it provided a 100% guarantee to lenders to encourage mortgage lending in Indian country. And once again, they're saying Indian country. I don't know. Some folks don't like the Indian word. I'm just reading from what it says on the document. So don't at me about that terminology usage, right? And so that really helped increase the home ownership amongst the native population here in the States. And so I'm going to put this chart up right here for your viewing pleasure. If you're listening on the podcast, you won't see the chart, but you'll see what home ownership looked like in like the early 90s. It is basically just a flat line on the chart. And then once this act was instituted, home ownership just spikes up, as you can kind of see if you're looking on YouTube, and you have to take my word for it if you're listening on the podcast, right? And so right now, and this is the most recent chart I can find, but right now, home ownership amongst the native population is like at 50%. And so it was super, super low, and it spiked all the way up to 50%, which is great. And so, folks still have a ways to go. And one of the things that really stood out to me when I was thinking about this whole folks couldn't even really buy land or get a home loan until 1992, like a lot of stuff we learn, it's from either our parents or people around us, right? And so, some folks just, they figure stuff out, but a lot of stuff is impacted by our environment, right? And so if no one around you was even allowed to own property up until 1992, there's not going to be really anybody around you or in your lineage that own real estate. And so you're going to be behind the curve, that learning curve, because you're going to have to be the first one to kind of break the chain or establish that set of acts in your family, right? And so I thought that was really interesting, was that, the native population, due to something that the government tried to do that was good, which was give land back, and a lot of the tax exemptions and stuff that come with the tribal the tribal land. But for every action apparently there's an equal and opposite reaction, right? My man Isaac Newton would tell you that. And so there are a couple ways that the folks can get land. So there's basically two ways when we're dealing with this tribal land. So they can apply for a leasehold on a mortgage approval, and so you apply for that if the mortgage is in a trust or in restricted land owned by a tribe or other Indian landowner. Or you can apply for a trust, a mortgage approval, if you're applying for a mortgage trust or trust on restricted land in which you have sole ownership. And so what I'm taking this information from is from the Bureau of Indian Affairs.gov. And so you have to go through the, or they have to go through the, or you maybe have to go through the Bureau of Indian Affairs in order to get the loan. And so basically there's three loan programs. I touched on the Section 184 program. I'll go a little bit deeper into the guidelines in a second. Then there is the USDA loan, which I think we're familiar with. You don't have to be indigenous in order to use that loan. And then there's also the Native Direct, or the Native American Direct Home Loan Program as well, which is for basically veterans who are natives. And so some stipulations or some requirements for the 184 mortgage program are low down payments of 2.25% on loans over 50K and only 1.5% on loans under 50K. And so I think that's really important as well, because when we talk about loans under 50K, a lot of times in low to moderate income communities, which sometimes though, those tribal areas are low to moderate income, the property values are low. But what happens is traditional lenders can't do loans typically under like 50,000, because what happens is, like, your lender fees are going to be your lender fees, your title fees are your title fees. Because for the title company, it doesn't matter if it's a 200K loan or 20K loan. It's the same paperwork for them. So it's the same type of fees. And so what happens is those loans become high cost loans, which is essentially like predatory lending, because if like a certain percentage of, it's the amount of fees in relation to the loan price becomes like too high, it becomes like predatory lending, because at a certain situation where it's like 10% of the fees make up the purchase price, lenders just can't do those loans. And it's to protect predatory lending, but it also has kind of that negative impact if the loan amount is too small. And so there's no minimum credit score, but you must be credit worthy. There's a one-time 1.5% guarantee fee due at closing, but you can add it to the loan, roll it in, just kind of like the VA loan, right? And so if your down payment is less than 20% of the home's value, you have to pay mortgage insurance of 0.25% in the loan balance. This is the annual amount, which will be split into 12-month installments, kind of like mortgage insurance is for other loans. Your mortgage is based on the market rate, not the credit score. And so once again, they're not factoring the credit score. There are no ARMs allowed or adjustable rate mortgages. And the longest term of the loan can be 30 years. And so you can also use it for 1 to 4 unit property. So you can buy that fourplex, that triplex, that duplex as well. So yeah, there you go. That's kind of like an interesting history of the issue with the indigenous population being able to actually get mortgages. I thought that was super interesting. Hopefully you did too. And I was going to share with a friend, because I think that's a tidbit a lot of folks don't know about. I've been in the mortgage industry 7 years. It had never really occurred to me that this was an issue amongst the native population. And so that's it for this week's episode. If you got value, I would say like the video, share it with a friend. And if you're looking for a realtor, whether it's this year or next year, reach out to me. I have a network of realtors that I can help you with, pre-vetted realtors, so you don't have to worry about if you're basically interviewing like 3, a 4, a 4, and a 6, and all that. We'll help you interview 9s, and a 10. And as always, join First Time Homebuyer School to continue the conversation. Link in the bio. And finally, buy land. Rumor has it they're not making any more of it. Thank you for listening to the show. If you want to connect with other listeners and also dive deeper into topics, as well as attend live trainings every Tuesday at 8 p.m., click the link down below and join the First Time Homebuyer School. See you inside.